The sound of a gentle breeze rustling through leaves, then a sudden, sharp intake of breath. The forest was dark, the air chillingly cold. A young girl named Ilara opened her eyes, her mind a blank slate. She didn't know where she was or how she got here. Towering trees formed a cage around her, their branches clawing at the sky. A strange, thick fog clung to the ground, making the forest feel like a living, breathing entity. The leaves shivered, though no wind stirred. Ilara pushed herself up, a dull ache throbbing in her head. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She whispered, her voice barely a sound. "Hello? Is anyone here?" Only the distant caw of crows answered. Her clothes were torn, caked with dirt. No bag, no food, no water. A wave of weakness washed over her. She was utterly alone. The silence of the forest was deafening, too silent. Then, crunch, the sound of a footstep. Ilara froze, her head snapping left, then right. Nothing, but an unnerving feeling prickled her skin, the feeling of being watched. Crunch, closer this time. Her breathing grew shallow and fast. "Who's there?" she called out, her voice trembling. The silence that followed was heavy with menace. She stumbled backward, a twig snapping loudly under her foot, the sound echoing through the trees. And then, from the inky blackness, two glowing eyes appeared. Pure terror seized her. She tried to scream, but her throat was tight, the sound strangled in her lungs. The eyes drifted closer, revealing a massive shadow. A beast, a wolf. It stepped out of the fog, its fur as black as a starless night, its teeth gleaming like polished bone. Its eyes burned like embers. Ilara gasped. This was no ordinary wolf. Its head was level with her chest, its powerful claws digging into the earth like knives. She took a single step back. A low, guttural growl rumbled from its chest, a vibration she felt deep in her bones. "Please, don't hurt me," she pleaded. The wolf padded closer, its breath hot and smoky. This was it. This was the end. But the attack never came. It stopped right before her, lowered its great head, and in a deep, gravelly voice it spoke. "You should not be here, human." Ilara's eyes widened in disbelief. She had to be dreaming. A talking wolf? Impossible. Did you just talk?" she stammered. The wolf's eyes glowed brighter. "Yes, and you must listen. This forest is not safe for you. The dragons are coming. If they find you, you will not survive." She shook her head, shock turning to denial. "Dragons? What are you saying? Dragons aren't real." The wolf growled again, not in anger, but as a dire warning. "Do not doubt me, girl. I can smell them already. The sky will burn tonight." Ilara's knees felt weak. Dragons? Talking wolves? What was happening? The wolf turned its head, its ears twitching, listening to something far beyond her senses. The whole forest seemed to hold its breath. Then, from the distance, a deep, earth-shattering roar ripped through the air. "Roar!" The sound vibrated through the trees, the ground, her very soul. Birds exploded from the branches in a panicked flurry. What was that?" she whispered, her voice choked with fear. The wolf's voice was low and heavy. "That was a dragon. It has found your scent. We must move." The wolf whipped its head back toward her, its eyes burning into hers. "Home does not exist for you anymore. The forest has claimed you. Now you must decide. Follow me or die where you stand." Tears welled in her eyes. She didn't trust this creature, but the alternative, the thing that made that sound, was unthinkable. Her hands shook uncontrollably. Looking into the wolf's hypnotic, glowing eyes, she asked, "If I follow you, will you protect me?" The wolf didn't blink. "I will try, but the dragons are strong. Stronger than you can imagine." Ilara closed her eyes, a fleeting image of her old life flashing behind them. She had to survive. She needed answers. Slowly, she gave a single, decisive nod. Okay, I'll follow you. The wolf turned and melted into the shadows. Alara hesitated for only a second before taking one step, then another, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm. Behind them, the roar came again, closer, louder. Roar! The world shook. Alara glanced up through the canopy and saw it, a colossal shadow with wings, blotting out the stars. Her mouth went dry. The wolf growled softly, a command. Do not stop. If you want to live, keep walking. And so she did. She forced her legs forward, following the dark guardian into the endless night, her heart a leaden weight in her chest. Somewhere above, a vast and ancient power was watching, waiting. Alara knew with chilling certainty her life would never be the same again. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If you're as captivated as I am and want to find out what happens to Alara, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. You won't want to miss the next chapter. The forest grew darker as the night spread around us. I followed the great black wolf, his steps silent but powerful. Every time his paw touched the ground, I felt the earth move just a little. My own steps were clumsy and loud. Leaves cracked under my shoes, and branches scraped against my arms. I was terrified the noise would bring the dragon closer. The wolf looked back at me, his burning eyes shining in the dark. Quiet, he said in a low, rumbling voice. The forest listens. The dragons listen too. I swallowed hard and nodded, trying to step softer, but my body wouldn't stop shaking. The trees around us grew thicker, their twisted roots rising like snakes from the ground. A thick fog curled around my legs like ghostly hands trying to pull me back. I whispered, "Where are we going?" The wolf didn't stop. "To a place where their eyes cannot see you, to the old stone circle. There you may rest." I frowned. "Stone circle?" He gave no answer, only walking deeper into the darkness. I wanted to ask more questions, but then I heard it again, a sound that froze my blood. A deafening roar shook the sky. Somewhere above the trees, massive wings beat the air, pushing a gale through the branches. Leaves rained down, and I grabbed a tree to stop myself from falling. "It's coming!" the wolf growled, his fur rising like spikes. "Do not stop!" My heart hammered against my ribs as I forced my legs to move faster. The forest seemed endless, and the sound of wings grew louder, closer. Then, with a heavy crash, something landed nearby. The ground shook violently, trees snapped, the air filled with the smell of smoke and ash. I froze. Through the fog, I saw it. A dragon. Its body was huge, covered in scales as black as stone. Fire burned between its teeth. Its golden eyes scanned the forest, searching. I dropped to the ground and pressed my hand over my mouth, holding my breath, praying it wouldn't see me. The wolf crouched low, his eyes fixed on the beast, muscles tense, ready to strike. The dragon sniffed the air, smoke curling from its nostrils. It stepped closer, its claws sinking into the soil, each step making the ground tremble. I closed my eyes. My heart was too loud. I was sure the dragon could hear it. The wolf whispered softly, "Do not move. Do not breathe." The dragon's head swung slowly left and right. For one terrible moment, its glowing eyes looked directly at me. I thought it had found me. Tears filled my eyes. I wanted to scream. But then suddenly the dragon lifted its head. It roared again, spread its wings, and with one powerful beat, rose into the sky and vanished. The forest fell silent. I let out the breath I was holding, shaking so badly I could hardly stand. That thing was real," I whispered. "A real dragon." The wolf's eyes burned in the shadows. "Now do you believe me?" I looked at him, my voice trembling. Why are they after me? I don't even know this place." The wolf's growl turned low, almost sad. "You belong more than you think, human child. The dragons do not hunt without reason." "Reason? What reason?" I asked, my fear turning to confusion. The wolf stepped closer. "You carry something hidden even from yourself. That is why they search for you." I shook my head. I don't have anything. The wolf's gaze was sharp. Not yet. But soon you will know. He turned and started walking again. Come. We must reach the stone circle before the night ends. I hesitated but followed him. I couldn't survive this forest alone. We walked for what felt like hours, strange noises whispering from the shadows. His presence, though frightening, gave me a strange kind of safety. At last, we reached a clearing. In the middle stood tall stones in a circle, ancient and covered in moss. The wolf stopped. We are here. The stones are old magic. No dragon dares to enter. I stepped inside the circle. The air felt heavy. I touched one of the stones. It was warm, as if alive. I turned to the wolf. What is this place? He looked at me for a long time before answering. This is where the truth begins. My heart skipped a beat. I opened my mouth to ask more, but then, from far away, another dragon's roar filled the sky. This one was louder, stronger. The wolf growled, his fur rising again. They are closer. They know you are here. My fear returned, sharper than before. I whispered, What do they want from me? The wolf stepped closer, his eyes glowing brighter than ever. Not what? Who? He paused, his voice a deep rumble in the ancient clearing. They want you. The night was heavy, thick, with the smell of smoke and ash. I sat huddled inside the ancient stone circle, my body trembling, my legs too weak to hold me. The memory of glowing eyes and giant wings still burned in my mind, a terrifying replay of the escape. At the edge of the circle, the wolf stood guard. His eyes, like amber fire, scanned the trees. His ears twitched at every rustle, every snap of a twig. He was a soldier waiting for a battle he knew was coming. I found my voice, a mere whisper. Are we safe here? The wolf's reply was a deep, rumbling growl that seemed to vibrate through the stones themselves. For now. The stones are old magic. The dragons cannot cross them easily, but we cannot stay forever. I hugged my knees tighter, trying to make sense of it all. I don't understand. Why are they after me? I'm just a girl. The wolf's glowing eyes met mine, and for a moment I saw something ancient and knowing in their depths. No, you are more than that. The forest feels it, the dragons feel it, and soon you will feel it too. I shook my head, denial my only shield. That's impossible. Before he could answer, the ground began to tremble. A sound like distant thunder rolled through the trees, growing louder, closer. Branches snapped in the distance, the night filled with the heavy, rhythmic beat of wings. Boom! 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 My heart froze. I whispered, the words catching in my throat. It's here again. The wolf let out a low growl, his voice sharp and urgent. Stay inside the circle. Do not move. A roar shattered the sky. Roar! The sound was so close it felt like it was inside my head. Leaves rained down from the canopy as the air grew hot, the smell of fire and brimstone filling my lungs. Then, with a crash that shook the very ground I sat on, a dragon landed in the clearing. I gasped. The creature was massive, a living mountain of shining black scales, each one as sharp as a blade. Its wings were wider than the tallest trees, and fire glowed between its teeth as smoke curled from its nostrils. Its golden eyes, burning with malevolence, swept across the forest floor, hunting. I pressed my back against a cold stone, trying to become invisible, trying to stop the frantic pounding of my heart that I was sure the dragon could hear. The wolf crouched low, a silent promise of defiance in his bared teeth and glowing eyes. He was ready to fight, a futile, brave gesture against a beast of such impossible strength. The dragon sniffed the air, smoke pouring from its mouth, its giant claws digging deep into the earth. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. This is it, I thought. This is how I die. Suddenly, the dragon's head turned sharply, its burning golden eyes locked onto my hiding place. A tremor ran through me, so violent it felt like my bones would shake apart. Tears welled up as fear trapped the scream in my throat. The dragon took a step closer, its immense shadow falling over the stone circle, a wave of heat washing over my skin. Then, something happened. The moment its claw touched the edge of the circle, the stones began to glow with a faint, ethereal light. The light spread like liquid fire along the ring, and the dragon pulled back with a furious, pained roar. "It can't enter," the wolf growled, a note of triumph in his voice. "The stones still have power." But the dragon didn't leave. It began to circle us, its golden eyes never leaving me, sniffing the air as if it could smell a secret I didn't even know I was keeping. My hand pressed against my chest. My heart felt strange, heavy. And then I saw it. Lying in the dirt near the dragon's feet was a crystal. It glowed softly, a piece of captured starlight, pulsing with an inner light of blue and silver as if it were alive. The dragon bent its massive head and scooped up the crystal with a claw. It studied the glowing stone for a moment, then roared in frustration, and the crystal slipped, rolling closer to the circle. My eyes widened. The wolf noticed my gaze, his voice sharp. "Do not touch it." But I couldn't hear him. Not really. The dragon lowered its head, trying to reach the crystal again, only to be stopped by the glowing barrier of the stones. Slowly, I crawled forward, my hand trembling as I reached for the glowing crystal. I felt warmth, power, and a deep primal fear all at once. The wolf's growl echoed again, desperate. "I said do not touch it." My fingers brushed against its smooth surface. The moment we made contact, a blinding flash of light erupted from the crystal, illuminating the entire clearing like it was midday. The dragon roared in fury, pulling back as if burned. I screamed as visions flooded my mind. A ruined city, towers crumbling to dust, people running for their lives, dragons soaring above, raining fire from the sky. I saw soldiers wielding crystals just like the one in my hand. I saw battles, death, and fire. Then, as quickly as it began, the vision ended. I collapsed, the crystal still glowing brightly in my palm. The wolf stared at me, his eyes wide with shock. You are the one." The dragon let out one last deafening roar, spread its colossal wings, and with a blast of wind that tore through the trees, it rose into the sky and vanished. The forest fell silent. Only my heavy, ragged breathing filled the air. I clutched the crystal to my chest, my voice shaking. What is happening to me?" The wolf stepped closer, his eyes glowing brighter than ever. "The truth is waking. The dragons will never stop hunting you." I stared at the glowing stone in my hand. I wanted to drop it, to run from it, but I couldn't. It felt like a part of me. My life was no longer my own. And deep inside, a terrifying certainty grew. This was only the beginning. The clearing fell quiet again. The dragon was gone, but its roar still echoed in Alara's mind, a phantom sound that made her hands shake. She stared down at the glowing crystal. Its light was soft now, pulsing slowly, like a gentle heartbeat. A whisper escaped her lips. "Why does it feel alive?" The wolf stood close, his eyes burning like embers in the growing dark. His voice was heavy, rumbling with ancient knowledge. "Because it is alive. It carries a power that was lost long, long ago." Ilara's brow furrowed in confusion. "My kind? What do you mean? I'm just human." A low growl rumbled through the air. "Yes, human. A race that once ruled this world, before the age of dragons. The crystals were their weapons, their shields, their hope. But they failed. The dragons destroyed them all. Or so they thought." Ilara stared at the crystal, the weight of it suddenly immense in her hand. The visions came rushing back to her. A ruined city under a burning sky, soldiers clutching glowing stones just like this one. It all felt too real to be just a dream. She whispered, "So the dragons want this. That's why they're hunting me." The wolf shook his massive head. "Not only the crystal. They want you, Alara. The crystal has chosen you." Her breath caught in her throat. "Chosen me? Why me? I didn't ask for any of this." The wolf's eyes narrowed, sharp and unforgiving. "There is no home. Not anymore. The moment you touch that stone, your old life ended." A cold dread tightened around Alara's chest, an ache that spread from her heart. She wanted to deny it, to scream, to throw the crystal away and run. But when she tried to loosen her fingers, they wouldn't open. It was as if the crystal itself refused to leave her hand. Tears welled in her eyes, blurring the pulsing light. "I don't want to fight dragons, I just want to be normal." The wolf growled again, not in anger, but as a stark warning. "Whether you want it or not, the forest has chosen. The dragons have chosen." The fog around them grew thicker, swirling like a living thing. The stones of the circle began to hum with a faint, ethereal light. For a moment, Alara thought she heard whispers inside her own head. The voices were strange, distant, speaking in a language she didn't know. Yet somehow, she understood. "Protect. Fight. Remember," the voices echoed, a chorus of ghosts. Alara pressed her hands over her ears, trying to block them out. "Make it stop. I don't want to hear them." The wolf's deep voice cut through her rising panic. "Do not run from it. The crystal speaks because it remembers you. You are not the first to hold it. Warriors and leaders came before. But you are the last." Her body trembled. "The last? What do you mean?" He stepped closer, his glowing eyes locking with hers. "The last hope of your kind." Alara's tears finally rolled down her cheeks. The weight of the world felt like it was crashing down on her shoulders. She had never asked for this. She had never wanted to be special. But now, the ancient forest itself seemed to watch her. The stones pulsed, the fog whispered, and high above, the sky rumbled with distant thunder, the rhythmic beat of colossal wings in the clouds. She whispered to herself, her voice breaking, "I can't do this, I can't." The wolf growled softly, a sound of grim encouragement. "You must, or you will die. And if you die, all hope dies with you." Alara clenched her fist around the crystal. Its light surged, growing brighter, answering her fear with a wave of raw power. Her heart hammered against her ribs. She looked at the wolf, her gaze steady. "If this is true, then teach me. Teach me how to survive." For the first time, the wolf's growl faded into complete silence. "The path ahead is filled with pain. The forest itself will test you. And the dragons, they will never stop hunting you." Alara nodded, her fear hardening into determination. "I don't care. If I must fight, then I will." Before the wolf could answer, the ground shook violently. A deep rumble rolled under their feet, making the stones around them tremble. Alara gasped, stumbling. "What's happening?" The wolf's eyes flashed with alarm. "The forest has heard you. It knows your choice. Now it will see if you are worthy." The earth split open. Roots as thick as pythons erupted from the ground. Trees bent and groaned, their branches twisting into monstrous, claw-like shapes. The fog thickened until Alara could barely see a foot in front of her. From the shifting shadows, shapes began to move, spirits of the forest, their bodies formed of gnarled wood and eerie light. Their eyes glowed a venomous green as they stepped into the clearing, circling the stone ring. Ilara's heart pounded in her throat. "What are they?" The wolf's voice was sharp, urgent. "The guardians. The forest tests all who touch the crystal. If you fail, they will tear you apart." Alara gripped the crystal, its glow spreading up her arm, wrapping her in a protective mantle of light. She stood her ground inside the circle, her fear now mixing with a spark of anger. The spirits stalked closer, their wooden claws scraping against the ancient stones. The air was thick with primal power. The wolf growled, standing firm beside her. "Do not show weakness. If you fear them, they will kill you." Ilara raised the glowing crystal high. Its light flared, a brilliant nova that pushed back the encroaching shadows. The forest roared around her, alive and watching. This was no dream anymore. The test had begun. The air shook with power. I stood frozen inside the stone circle, my hand glowing with the crystal's unearthly light. All around me, the forest itself had come alive. Roots, thick as my arm, cracked the very ground beneath my feet. Branches twisted into menacing shapes like the claws of some great beast. And then, from the swirling fog, they came. Glowing figures stepped forward, the spirits of the forest. They were impossibly tall and thin, their bodies a terrifying mix of wood, vines, and shadow. A sickly green light shone from their hollow eyes. With every step they took, the ancient stones trembled. My breath caught in my throat. "They're coming for me." The giant wolf at my side, my only companion, bared his teeth, the fur on his back rising. His voice rumbled like distant thunder. "Yes, they will test you. The crystal has awakened the forest, and now it demands to know if you are worthy to carry it." I shook my head, my whole body trembling. "I can't fight them. Look at them. They're not even human." The wolf let out a sharp growl. "Do not think of what they are. Think of what you are. The crystal chose you. Show them why." As if on cue, the first spirit lurched closer. Its wooden arms stretched out like a gnarled branch, reaching for me. I raised the crystal instinctively. A blinding flash of light burst from it, throwing the spirit back. The creature hissed, its glowing eyes narrowing with rage. I gasped, a flicker of hope igniting in my chest. It worked! But my relief was short-lived. The other spirits didn't hesitate. They moved as one, circling the stones, their claws scratching at the ground, their whispers filling the night. "Unworthy, weak, human." The voices pressed against my mind, heavy and cold, a psychic assault I couldn't block. I dropped to my knees, clamping my hands over my ears. "Stop! Get out of my head!" The wolf growled, snapping at the spirits, but they ignored him completely. My vision blurred. The voices grew louder, a chorus of doubt and malice. The crystal in my hand shook, its light flickering like a dying candle. Just as I felt myself slipping into despair, something stirred deep inside my chest. A warmth, a surge of strength. It was the same feeling I had when the dragon first dropped the crystal into my life. But this time, it was 100 times stronger. I took a deep, shuddering breath and screamed with all my might. "Leave me alone!" The crystal exploded with light. A wave of pure energy burst from my hand, slamming into the spirits. They staggered back, their glowing eyes dimming for a moment. The whispers stopped. The forest fell utterly silent. I pushed myself to my feet, my chest rising and falling rapidly. The crystal pulsed in time with my heartbeat, its glow now steady and strong. The wolf stared at me, his eyes wide with something I could only describe as awe. "You controlled it." My voice shook. "I don't know how. It just happened." But the test wasn't over. The ground itself split open. Roots shot up like spears, wrapping around the ancient stones until they cracked under the pressure. The spirits roared, their voices shaking the very air. They rushed forward again, their claws reaching for me, no longer hesitant. Fear, hot and sharp, burned in my chest. I closed my eyes, a desperate act of retreat. I thought of home, of safety, of light. I thought of surviving. And then the crystal answered. The light around me grew brighter, hotter, wrapping my body like a suit of armor. The fear vanished, replaced by an unyielding strength. I felt taller, stronger, as if the crystal was no longer just in my hand. It was inside me, a part of me. When I opened my eyes, the spirits had stopped dead in their tracks. The green glow in their hollow eyes dimmed. Slowly, reverently, they lowered their claws. Their wooden bodies bent, bowing before me. The forest had accepted its new master. I stood frozen, breathing hard. They're not attacking anymore. The wolf nodded, his deep voice calm now. They see you for what you are, not prey, not a child, a bearer of the crystal, the last hope of your kind. I lowered my hand. The light around me faded, but the spirits remained bowed. One by one, they melted back into the trees, their green glow disappearing into the fog. The ground stopped shaking. The roots sank back into the soil. The circle of stones grew still. I finally collapsed to my knees, utterly exhausted. I thought they would kill me. The wolf stepped closer, his shadow falling over me. They would have, but you proved yourself. I stared at the crystal in my hand. Its glow was calm now, like a sleeping star. I whispered, "This thing, it's changing me." The wolf's eyes narrowed. "It is not changing you. It is waking you. You were always meant for this." I shook my head, the denial instinctive. "No, I can't be a warrior. I'm just me." He growled softly. "The forest disagrees, and so do the dragons. They fear what you may become." As if to prove his words, a deafening roar thundered through the sky. I froze, my head snapping up. Through the canopy, I saw shadows moving above the clouds. Not one, not two, an army, dragons. Their massive wings blotted out the moonlight, their enraged cries shaking the night. My heart plummeted. "There are so many." The wolf's voice was grim, devoid of all hope. "Yes, and they know now that you carry the crystal. They will not stop until they destroy you." I gripped the crystal tighter, fear and a new, steely determination mixing inside me. I looked at the wolf, my protector, my guide. "Then we fight, whatever it takes. I won't let them win." The wolf bared his teeth, his eyes glowing like embers. "Then prepare yourself, girl. The Dragon King is coming." The sky shook again, louder this time. Fire flickered in the clouds, and I knew, with a certainty that chilled me to the bone, the true war was about to begin. The night sky was on fire. High above the forest canopy, immense dark shapes danced like storm clouds caught in a whirlwind. The dragons were gathering. You could feel the air tremble with the beat of their leathery wings, their guttural roars echoing for miles, a symphony of destruction. Down below, in the ruins of an ancient stone circle, Ilara stood, her heart a frantic drum against her ribs. In her hand, a crystal pulsed with an ethereal inner light. Beside her, her wolf companion stood rigid, his fur bristling, his piercing golden eyes locked on the terrifying spectacle above. Ilara's voice was barely a whisper, trembling with the fear that gripped her. "There are so many, Fenrir. We can't fight them all." The great wolf let out a low growl, a vibration that seemed to come from the very earth. "We will not fight them all. We must face only one, their king." The word sent a chill down Ilara's spine. Her chest tightened. "The Dragon King?" The wolf nodded, his gaze unwavering. "Yes, the oldest, the strongest. He commands the swarm. He knows if he destroys you, the crystal's power dies with you. That is why he comes himself." Ilara's fingers clenched the crystal, its surface now warm against her skin. The light inside pulsed faster, as if it could sense the approaching doom. The air grew thick, hot, and heavy. The ground began to shake, and the ancient trees of the forest bent and groaned as a colossal shadow blotted out the fiery sky. And then he landed. The Dragon King. He was a nightmare made real, larger than any creature Ilara could have possibly imagined. His scales shimmered, a terrifying mosaic of molten gold and blood red, glowing with internal fire. His wings, vast and torn, stretched wider than the entire clearing, shredding branches as they settled. An inferno burned within his chest and his eyes. His eyes were like twin suns, brilliant, ancient, and utterly merciless. The ground cracked and split beneath his immense weight. Smoke, thick and black, billowed from his flared nostrils as he lowered his magnificent, terrifying head toward the stone circle. When he spoke, his voice was the sound of mountains breaking apart, shaking the very foundations of the world. "Child of humans, return what is mine." Ilara was frozen, trapped in his burning gaze. "Mine?" "That crystal!" the Dragon King boomed, his eyes narrowing. "It was stolen from my hoard long ago by your wretched kind. Give it to me, and I will grant you a quick death." Ilara's knees buckled. Every instinct screamed at her to run, to flee, but the ancient magic of the circle held her fast. She whispered, her voice cracking, "I can't. It won't let me." As if in response, the crystal in her hand flared defiantly, its light spilling over her arm, a shield of pure energy spreading across her chest. Fenrir, the wolf, stepped forward, his body a wall of muscle and fur. He let out a growl so deep it vibrated through the air. "She is the chosen one. You will not take her." The Dragon King let out a laugh, a sound like rolling thunder and shattering rock. "Wolf, you pathetic old guardian. You cannot protect her. Your kind failed once before, just as hers will fail now." Fenrir bared his long, sharp teeth, his eyes glowing with a feral light. "We failed once. We will not fail again." Finding a sliver of courage, Ilara's voice, though shaking, rang out. "Why do you fear this crystal so much?" Smoke hissed from the dragon's nostrils. "Because it is the last ember of your people's fire. With it, humans once dared to challenge us. With it, they burned my kin. But that age is over. I destroyed it, and now I will destroy you." He opened his massive jaws. A light, brighter and hotter than the sun, began to gather in his throat. The entire forest was bathed in an apocalyptic red glow. The heat was a physical blow. Ilara cried out, "He's going to burn us!" In a blur of gray fur, Fenrir leaped in front of her, his massive body a living shield. "Raise the crystal! Now, Ilara!" With a desperate cry, Ilara lifted the glowing stone high. An explosive burst of pure white light shot out, meeting the Dragon King's torrent of fire head-on. Flames and light clashed mid-air with a cataclysmic boom that shook the forest to its roots. The force of the impact threw Ilara backward. She hit the ground hard, the crystal still burning brightly in her hand. The Dragon King roared in pure fury. "You dare defy me?" Fenrir snarled, his voice sharp with urgency. "Run, girl! Find the strength within the crystal! Use it!" But Ilara couldn't run. The Dragon King took a thunderous step forward, his giant claw smashing one of the ancient standing stones into dust. She staggered to her feet, her whole body trembling. "I don't want this fight!" she screamed, tears of terror and frustration streaming down her face. "I just want to live!" The crystal blazed, sending out powerful waves of light that made the Dragon King stagger back for a moment. Fenrir turned to her, his golden eyes fierce and pleading. "You cannot run from this, Ilara. The choice is yours. Give in to your fear and die, or stand and fight." Her breath came in ragged gasps. She looked at the dragon towering over her, a god of fire and death. She looked at the wolf, ready to die at her side. And then she looked at the crystal, pulsing in time with her own frantic heartbeat. Her hands still trembled, but a new resolve hardened her expression. She raised the crystal again. The light grew, brighter than the moon, brighter than the dragon's fire, a beacon in the terrifying dark. The Dragon King spread his wings to their full, devastating span. Then face me, child of humans, he thundered, his voice shaking the earth. Let us end your kind once and for all. He lunged, jaws wide, a river of fire pouring from his throat. Elara screamed, a cry of terror, defiance, and newfound power, holding the crystal high. Light and fire collided, exploding into the night. The forest roared, the sky burned, the earth split. And in that single blinding moment, the fate of all humans and all dragons balanced on the edge of a single choice. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this epic tale, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss another adventure. See you next time. The night sky ignited, burning like a second sun. Fire and light clashed in the forest clearing, a cataclysm that shook the very roots of the ancient woods. The Dragon King's inferno crashed against the crystal's radiant glow, filling the air with thunder, smoke, and the scent of ozone. There, in the center of it all, stood Elara. Her arm was raised high, the crystal in her hand blazing brighter than a fallen star. Her entire body trembled with the strain, a fragile vessel for immense power, but she refused to let go. Through the roaring flames, the wolf lunged, a shadow of fury. His claws struck the dragon's obsidian scales, sending sparks flying like a blacksmith's forge. But the colossal beast barely registered the attack. The Dragon King let out a roar that seemed to crack the heavens. "You are weak, human child. Your fragile light cannot stop me." Elara's heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat of terror. A part of her wanted to believe him, to surrender to the overwhelming power to simply let go and let the world burn. But from the depths of her soul, another voice whispered, the same voice that had guided her through the forest's trials. "Protect, fight, remember." A defiant scream tore from her throat. "I won't give up." As if in answer, the crystal pulsed with her cry. A wave of pure light erupted from it. A silent explosion that slammed into the Dragon King and forced him back a step. For the first time, his molten gold eyes narrowed with a flicker of something new. Fear. But that fear was quickly consumed by a far greater fury. His immense wings spread wide, eclipsing the moon and casting the world into shadow. His chest began to glow, a furnace reigniting within him. The wolf landed beside Elara, his fur scorched, his breath coming in ragged pants. He looked at her, his intelligent eyes sharp and urgent. "This is your moment. Decide now. Destroy them or change them." Elara gasped, her voice a raw whisper. "Destroy them. I can do that." The wolf gave a single solemn nod. "The crystal holds the last fire of humanity. One word from you, one thought, and it will burn the dragons from the sky, forever." She stared at the pulsating gem in her hand. It thrummed in time with her own heartbeat, a terrifying, exhilarating rhythm. She could feel the truth of his words, the absolute power to end this war, to end them all. But then she looked at the Dragon King, at his massive form, his burning eyes, his endless consuming rage. And yet, beneath it all, she saw something else, something she recognized in her own heart. Loneliness. She whispered, "If I destroy them, the world will be empty. Just me. Just humans. There will be no balance." The wolf let out a low growl. "If you show mercy, they will return. They will kill again. You risk everything for a chance they don't deserve." Elara's breath hitched, the weight of her choice crushing her. The entire forest seemed to hold its breath, waiting. Above, the dragons circled, their roars a trembling promise of destruction. The Dragon King took a step forward, his voice a rumbling growl of fire. "Choose, child. Either way you will lose." Elara closed her eyes, hot tears tracing paths down her soot-stained cheeks. She remembered the visions, the burning cities, the screams, the endless, brutal war. But she also remembered the spirits of the forest bowing to her, not for an act of destruction, but because she chose to stand for something more. Her voice rose, no longer trembling, but steady and clear. I choose neither death nor hate. I choose something new. The Dragon King roared, enraged. There is no peace between us! Ilara lifted the crystal high. Its light exploded, a silent, blinding nova that filled the entire forest. The dragons in the sky screamed, shielding their eyes. The wolf shielded his face with a massive paw. The light wasn't a weapon of destruction. It was a bond, wrapping around the Dragon King, binding his wings, his claws, his fire. He thrashed and roared, but the crystal's power held him fast. Ilara stepped forward, her voice calm but resonating with strength. You will not rule with fire anymore, and I will not rule with fear. The crystal is not a weapon. It is a bond. From now on, we live together, or we fall together. The Dragon King's roar died in his throat. The light pressed into him, and his golden eyes, once burning with pure fury, began to soften with a grudging respect. Slowly, the glow faded. He lowered his massive head, his voice a low rumble. Then prove it, child of humans. Prove you can carry this burden. One by one, the other dragons vanished into the clouds, their cries fading into silence. Ilara's strength finally gave out, and she dropped to her knees, exhausted. The crystal's light dimmed to a faint, warm pulse in her hand. The wolf stood beside her, his voice softer than she had ever heard it. You chose mercy. You chose balance. Few would have done the same. Ilara looked up, her eyes heavy. Did I make the right choice? His gaze was unwavering. Only time will tell. But remember, peace is harder than war, and the dragons will test you again. She nodded weakly, knowing he was right. This battle wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. As the forest grew calm and the first light of dawn touched the horizon, Ilara held the crystal to her chest. She whispered, I will carry it. I will carry the hope of humans. And maybe the hope of dragons, too. The wolf's eyes seemed to burn with a soft light. Then, girl, you are no longer just human. You are the bridge between worlds. Ilara stood tall, her eyes fixed on the distant mountains, because from far away another roar echoed, deep, ancient, and full of warning. The war was not over. It had only just begun. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more adventures. We'll see you in the next one.